They shouldn't have given you Ashy Blokes YouTube.
Okay, folks, this is going to be in response to Big J. So normally I would do just a typical response, but since Big J normally doesn't really have points or any points that is formally lined up where you can actually respond to, normally it comes out in a rant that this is. I'll try to take it that way. I'll try to make some kind of general sense of the rant that he was talking about to make a response. Normally I would, in a response, I would like to have cut up the audio and actually plug in where I'm actually responding to something. But since he's all over the place like Big J normally is, I'll have to kind of order it up to where some kind of coherent argument, let's put it that way. First thing he says is that there's a few people like Marcus A. Brown himself, Sparky Fisher, and all of the other folks that are outside the manosphere. Whether it's, I don't know if he's talking about white manosphere, the black manosphere or not, okay? If you are inside the manosphere, if you're on the boards, you're making arguments, you're in the comment section, dude, you're part of the manosphere. If you're talking to us, you're conversing with us, you're inside the manosphere. You're not outside it, you're inside it. You're taking part in the argument. So the dumb shit that's saying that you're outside of it, please give me a motherfucking break, all right? Nextly, about being politically active. Dude, I've been politically active since 1977. And I don't even think that you're close to being that old. I don't think you're in your 40s. So this is 41 years I have been politically active. I don't think you're that old. And you have no clue what it means to be politically active. Not locally, not statewide, and not nationally, and definitely not geopolitical. All the stuff I put up has something to do with politics. Politics is making policy. That's the root word of it. Politics is not voting. Politics is not talking about the political candidate. Politics is about social policies. And the best way to change social policies is changing minds. The best way to change social policies is digging up information that other people would rather you not see or think about. Because 90% of policies that lay down on your head are unconscious. And what you don't understand and what you keep ranting about, normally folks like you, I would ignore. Normally, folks like you, I would ignore. I would ignore you because you don't know what you're talking about. You're bringing up points randomly, like Anita Sarkeesian. Anita Sarkeesian is doing that so she can make money. Anita Sarkeesian is not into politics. Anita Sarkeesian is trying to have a job. She's taking advantage of what's already there. And the reason that black women can't do it, because you got a number of them that would love to do it, to try to do it, is that they're not white. They don't have access to white power. That's like 87% of affirmative action, which is the fruits of the civil rights movement, went to white women and not to black families, because they have access to white power, whereas black women do not. So black women will not be able to link up with white women and do something to black men, because white women don't control shit. And definitely, since white women don't control shit, neither do black women. They don't control shit. Black women have and always will do what they're allowed to. Black women work within the system just like everybody else. They don't make policy. They never have, they never will. Now, let's get to some of the points. I do agree with him about worrying about little black boys in effeminate schools, or feminized schools, being pumped up with Ritalin. And little black boys are not the focus of the school system. I know we would like to believe that they are, but they're not. The focus is boys, period. Because there's just as many white boys on Ritalin and ADHD drugs as there are black boys. Like anything else, since we're a smaller percentage, the percentages are higher because we have a smaller population and worse schools. Whereas upper class or middle class white folks can refuse to put their son on it or manage that stuff and get them off of it. Schools get paid extra to put little black boys on it. And poor chicks, poor women that are on welfare or some kind of social dependent, they actually get a check for putting their kid on Ritalin or some kind of drug. Then again, black women didn't push for a policy to put their boys on drugs, or push for policy to hold boys down in school. That's the environment that they come up with, and they take advantage of it. Now let's get to the out of wedlock piece, okay? Because you, like I said, you're all over the place. You went through like 20 different points, all mushed together, and they're not separated out. Because I do believe it's a rant. It's not a coherent one. The thing about the family, the thing about the out of wedlock, the thing about bastard baby making, it's not unique to black people, which Negroes like you fail to understand. No matter how many times I point it out, no matter how many times I show it, no matter how many times I articulate it, you refuse to take the cotton out of your ears or your fingers out of your ears and listen. All you gotta do is look it up. Google is your friend. Look up out of wedlock rate in Western countries, and you pop it up. The vast majority of Western countries have an out of wedlock rate over 50%. You can look it up. The 50% are very close to it. That's the bastard baby making rate. The out of wedlock rate. So it's not unique to black people. And if it's not unique to black people, that must mean it's not political. What that means is that that it's cultural. It's a cultural environment because of what has happened as far as the Industrial Revolution. I keep pointing to that, but Negroes like you refuse to recognize that. You think that black people are defective and black women are defective. So it must be just them. It must be because black women are defective because they hate black men so much that this is what they do. I keep telling you, I have a book called The Decline of Marriage. They had this is 30 years ago. They had a whole freaking seminar 30 years ago talking about it. And that was a phenomenon they had seen in the 70s and 80s. So marriage has been declining for 50 years. And there's nothing that they can do about it. And those are the people that make the policy. Those are the people that make the laws. They can't do anything about it. They tried. You know, I read pieces all the time. You know, it's like I have to keep bringing this stuff out and beating people over the head up because, like I say, Negroes are hard-headed. Negroes like you are hard-headed. The glass is always half empty. Sometimes I think it's not the glass. Sometimes I think it's your head. Changing the laws is not going to help. Changing the laws is only a band-aid. That's what Janet Yellen pointed out. When they changed the laws in the 60s, it was only a band-aid. You can't change the environment. They have been modifying the laws for the last 200 years to match the environment that's changing, the social and artificial environment caused by automation and that kind of stuff, to keep pace with it, to keep the old order together. And they're finally giving up. They can't keep it together. Now they have to create a new one. People have to come together and create a new paradigm because the old one that lasted 100,000 years is dying and they don't know what it is. And it takes a very long time to create a new paradigm. They thought it was simple. It's not. So your laws will not help. Being political, yeah, you can be political. It helps to be political. It helps to shape policy. But white men didn't just start yesterday trying to fight divorce laws or child support laws or putting guys in jail for it. They didn't just start yesterday. They've been fighting it. They've been fighting it since the early 90s. And these are black men that were political. They were trying to change. They were trying to change the courts. They were trying to change the laws. They were trying to change. They protested. You had the Promise Keepers trying to put the Kent family back together. It didn't work because people will adapt to the environment. Women will adapt to the environment. And at the time, the government or our managers' outlook was keep the fertility rate up. So at first it was paid out of taxes when we had the money, and then it was paid out of child support when they ran out of money. And now what? They don't have anything. There's nothing left. So the environment will change again. Now you're saying that Anita Sarkeesian is the bellwether for going against MGTOWs. You forget that I've been a MGTOW for about 5 years. So I remember when the Anita Sarkeesian Gamergate shit actually popped up. Anita Sarkeesian was after money. Some women wanted more action figures in game. They wanted more superheroes on TV. They want to see more representation with something they have been clamoring for a very long time, which is well before Gamergate. And it's not politics that drove it or made a difference. It's money. White women have money. So if white women have money and they want games, they want to see themselves represented in movies, guess what's going to happen? Disney and a whole bunch of other folks can go after that dollar, which is what they have done. So passing laws is not going to do any good, especially for black men. Thing is, son, you don't know how politics work. You think Negroes are blind and dumb and whatnot. You don't know how politics work. You don't know how the game works, unfortunately. Anita Sarkeesian is small potatoes. Anita Sarkeesian ain't gonna do shit. The feminists don't even follow her half the time. They pay her little speaking fee, and at the end of the day, it doesn't mean nothing. At the end of the day, all she's doing is making more MGTOWs, just like Me Too is. Which is why the Me Too thing that you heard last year that sparked up and had all this fuel and all this big push about taking guys out for rape and stuff like that, all that shit's being reversed. You go on and you show articles about how much money all these colleges have to pay out for violating people's rights. All the lawsuits for violating due process. You can't change the Constitution. You can't change the due process. And once dudes don't worry about politics, you jam the courts and actually make them follow the laws that are already on the books. And dudes will, because it's going to cost them money and send them to jail. It starts stopping. When they start passing laws, there's Me Too policies, and corporations are afraid of getting hit by lawsuits. Guess what they did? They started separating men and women, which is what MGTOW want anyway, which is what MGTOW was telling you to do anyway. So all you did was make more MGTOWs instead of less. Anita Sarkeesian make more MGTOWs, which is something you don't understand because you don't understand politics, son. What you do know how to do is scream and slap on the desk. I predicted that Me Too was actually going to be good for MGTOWs. I wish that it was actually burn brighter and cause more division. But your feminists, the ones that are smarter and not emotional, that actually plan this shit out, they nip that shit in the bud. The feminists rush to nip that shit in the bud because it's going to affect their bottom line. It's going to block them from moving up. It was going to thicken the glass ceiling. They saw this stuff happening. They decided to put the kibosh on this shit. Now, let's get to your last piece. Because you're talking about Flint Town boy posting Christelyn Karazin's child or doxing Christelyn Karazin's kid up on a video. Fool. How can they dox her? How can they dox a child by showing a picture when Christelyn Karazin posts her name, her address, and sometimes even her phone number on her Facebook? How can you dox a child, a photo of the child, when Christelyn Karazin shows family pictures of all her children and her husband and her backyard and all the other accoutrements. You can't dox people when people are already doxed. It's publicly available knowledge. Now, is it kosher that he put a child in it, which he has apologized for, because I listened to him. He has apologized for that, because family should be out of bounds, and I would agree with that. That's one thing I do agree with. Even he agreed with it, that family should be out of bounds. It shouldn't be about personality. But she was already doxed. It's not like you had to figure out who these people are or what they look like, because she showed pictures of them. In fact, she had video of the kids running around. So how can you dox somebody who has already shown pictures of the kids? And then she called and had it taken down because he made a parody of it. Well, she could have just written him and had it taken down, and he would have taken it down. He actually did. He apologized for it. So that piece, as far as using that to come out of how you figure that's going to be used to come after black guys, I don't get it. And let me get to the last point that I actually understood. The flagging campaign that Simone 5/6 actually did, or actually started last year, which was in conjunction with something that YouTube and Google was doing anyway, had started before, which is something I pointed out. So over a year ago, the so-called black females tried to flag us down. A year ago, I was on that list. But so was Angry Man, so was Obsidian, so was O'Shea, and on and on and on. And guess what? Guess what happened? We're all still here. We're all still here. Guess what happened to the flaggers? Most of them are gone. So do you think that idea of that operation actually worked? Because if it worked, maybe they should do it some more. We get rid of Simone 5/6 and all the rest of them, just so they can clean themselves out, because that actually backfired. You keep worrying about the so-called SOS thing, which is all it was a money-making scheme. You think that Google, who is a multi-billion-dollar company, which is like $100 billion company, is going to worry about a few $1,000s that some black chicks that barely have any clout, because all of a sudden Google's going to pay attention to it and actually worry about it. You said that about Sophia A. Nelson. Everybody's worried about, Sophia A. Nelson, and she's got clout because she's a lawyer from Washington, D.C., and you Negroes better watch out because they're coming after you, blah, blah, blah. Where's Sophia A. Nelson now? What is she doing? When was the last time you heard from her? To predict something, Big J, you have to be right sometimes. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. Even a broken calendar is right twice a year. You're going to have to play catch up, because you have to be right about something. Now, I could point you back to the video where I dared all the flaggers, Christelyn, Karazin, Brooklyn Blue, Sophia A. Nelson, and all those people. I dared them to come flag me. My channel's never been down. It's never been down. And even if it was down, just like everybody else, the channel does go down. Guess what? The people that like you, the people that follow you, are still there, which is something you don't understand. All the folks that follow you are still there. Once you establish a name, you're still there. Tommy Sotomayor has proven that. Tommy Sotomayor has had, at least that I know of, 10 channels deleted. 10 that I know of since I've been following him. How come he's still there? Because Knucklehead, the people that follow him you can't delete them. You can delete the channel, but you can't erase the memory of him out of people's minds, because people that are fans of his are going to look for him someplace else. Everyone that has had a channel deleted has popped back up someplace else. Did they have a setback? Sure. But that's the cost of doing business. And now all it did basically was called black men to create 2 more platforms independent of YouTube. So even if you deleted all the black male channels, you have 2 other independent video platforms for them to go to. Now, will they make the same passive money that YouTube did? No. But the voices won't be silenced because they will have someplace else to go. They got 2. I know Black Spot TV is one of them because I have a channel up there. And I do believe there's another one. So there's a whole lot of stuff that you can say on those 2 platforms you can't say on YouTube, and YouTube cannot do anything about it. So yes, black men are already politically active. They've already started making moves, and they already started to have other avenues because they were forced to. Necessity is the mother of invention, and black men have always followed that rule. When they need to have something, they figure out a way, and they always have. Ever since they brought us here and changed, we've always figured out a way. That's like when we're still here. And one day, you're actually going to listen, and you're going to learn politics. You're going to learn what I've been trying to teach you. Because what you're doing is acting like a female. Because you have a bad need to be right instead of having a need to be accurate or correct. Because the need to be right doesn't solve shit. But the need to be correct, the need to be accurate does. And you haven't been. Because you don't know what you're talking about, son. So when you put my name in a video and you challenge me and it actually sparks me actually have a response, you better know what you're talking about. Because you're a sub, I've been fairly gentle with you. If I had actually put the video up, sliced the audio up, and actually started dissecting what you said, it wouldn't be pretty. But I didn't do that. But next time you put my name in a video and you're actually going to argue me or argue a point about what I said, make it coherent. I tell you what you ought to do. Write it down. Or at least have an outline and go point by point so we can at least have a coherent argument, because we're not, because you're all over the place. I don't know who you learned to debate from, but whoever you learned it from, they suck. My rants are more coherent than your debates or your arguments. And I'm getting tired of people putting my name in videos and not coming without any facts. I've been in the water, I'm an old fish, dude. I've been in the water a long time. And as long as I've had this channel up, as long as I've been teaching you, you should be better. That's what disappoints me about you. It's not that you disagree with me. It's that your arguments should be better and they're not. So that means I failed, which bothers me. It doesn't bother me that you disagree with me. It bothers me that you can't make a coherent argument, because out of all the facts that I put up over the last 700 and some odd videos, and you still don't get it, that means I failed. So instead of finding reason to disagree with me, you should learn from me. Hell, the DOD does, the NSA does, the Chinese do, the Russians do. You might as well get in on it too. If they learn from me, you might as well get in on it too. Why should these big governments have all the fun? If you want to be right, if you want to be smart, you want to be paid attention to, then you have to get in and do the work, because you're not. Putting recording audio and doing a rant and naming a few people is not an argument. It's not a political argument. You haven't named one source, one book, one school of thought, one thread of anything, and you call it an argument. And you're going to put my name in it. And you should have already learned that that's not a good idea, because you're not prepared. And I've argued with PhDs that are much, much, much more accomplished, much, much more studied than you. So next time you put your name in my mouth and you slander me about politics, we're going to have a conversation. And it's not going to be nice. So if you want to do this, let's do this. But if you're going to do this, you better come ready. Because I've had about enough. If it's going to be challenge week, you better come ready, because it's not going to be Muhammad Ali bobbing and weaving and throwing fake bolo punches. Okay? If you want to get into politics, you want to argue this stuff, you better know what you're talking about. You better go read and study a little bit more. Because, son, you way out of your class. You think that you're in my class, but son, you way out of my class. Okay? You have a long way to go. So if you're going to do it right. Not just call my name and then rant. That ain't going to work. Anyway, with that, I'm going to bounce out of here. Done this real quick. This is for BigJXXX. Before I go, what does that mean? Explain to me about your username, because I have no idea what that means. I've been wondering that for about 2 years. What does BigJXXX mean? Is that your underwear size, your hat size, your shirt size? What is it, man? I don't get it. Anyway, that's all I got for this one, folks. BGS out.